All right, it's at this time that we will welcome Lincoln and Jamie Simmons, some familiar faces around here, but this is the first time I've been here for them presenting, so I've been looking forward to this, and so they're going to come now, and I told them earlier I'll turn the service over to them, and he can close in prayer when they're done. So welcome Lincoln and Jamie.
Good evening. We're very, very excited to be back home at Fellowship Baptist. Thank you, Pastor Ryan and the church for having us come and letting us give this update. I'm Lincoln Simmons. This is my wife, Jamie, and we are the directors of Children's Bible Ministries.
We want to start out by saying thank you. Thank you to the missions committee here for supporting Lincoln and I's work in CBM. Thank you to those who give individually to support us. I was doing my morning Bible reading the other day, and I came across this passage in the Complete Jewish Bible, and so I wanted to just read it to you. I sent it to a couple of our supporters because it was just so meaningful the way that it's translated. God's word says, "You will be enriched in every way so that you can be generous in everything, and through us your generosity will cause people to thank God. Because rendering this holy service not only provides for the needs of God's people, but it also overflows in the many thanks people will be giving to God. In offering this service, you prove to these people that you glorify God by actually doing what your acknowledgement of the good news of the Messiah requires, namely sharing generously with them and with everyone. And in their prayers for you, they will feel a strong affection for you because of how gracious God has been to you." It's humbling and a great privilege to be sent missionaries of Fellowship Baptist Church, and it is so good to be here with you all, church family, and my family, my mom and my sister over here in the front.
This is actually my 41st summer involved in CBM Ministries. I was able to start when I was 7 years old as a camper. I started doing the Bible lessons and was a camper. And actually at Camp Gilead, I turned 8 years old. So this will be my 41st summer being part. I haven't missed a summer since then, being part of the work of CBM. But we're really excited to be here to give you an update about what God's been doing through Children's Bible Ministries, because this is our 90th year celebration for the actual ministry of Children's Bible Ministries.
So I thought it would be fitting to have as the background of the slide for the 90 years the original Bible memory program. And I know there's a certain Mr. Yater in here who will recognize this, but Lincoln went through this program when he was a youngin' and memorized the 300 Bible verses to earn the free week at camp, and so we still have some of those in the office, and they would get different awards like wall plaques, and so CBM has been going strong, reaching children with the gospel of Jesus Christ for 90 years, and we're so excited to be part of CBM for that celebration.
We have been the directors of Children's Bible Ministries for the past 11 years, so we figured this update would cover those 11 years that we've been the directors. We left here in January of 2014. We left our families, we left our home church, but we felt God leading us to go to the home office, the global office, and with the church's affirmation of that calling, we decided to head up to Tennessee.
Prior to that, we had been serving full-time at Camp Gilead in Polk City, for those of you who know Camp Gilead, which is probably everyone. And in the 11 years, we've been able to see the Lord call 125 new missionaries into CBM and been a part of their training. So we host a biannual, is that twice a year, training program called GROW, and it stands for Guidance in Ministry, Relationship Building, Overcoming Obstacles, and Worship Through Bible Study. And these are just some of the faces, but we're very incredibly privileged to be part of that work and of training short-term and long-term missionaries.
It's very exciting to do that. Local churches send these people to our ministry center so they can receive that training. And then as the Lord leads in partnership with their local church, we place them all over the globe now to serve and do the work. One of the things we were really passionate about when we landed in Tennessee was starting a ministry for college-age kids. After talking to all the directors, we heard a lot of missionaries that were really, really exhausted, tired. They had been on the field a very, very, very long time. They were kind of like Elijah, hiding in the cave a little bit. They needed a nap. They needed a snack. But more importantly, they needed the next generation to come alongside of them and pick up the mantle. And so God impressed that upon our hearts that we would reach out to college-age kids and offer them a year, an internship where they can spend a year learning what it's like to be a missionary. So we started the internship program, and we have had 61 graduates so far, and we are currently in Team 20 right now. And kind of around 2022, we decided we needed to make some much-needed changes to the internship program.
So now we have 2 years. We have year 1, which is enrichment, and year 2, which is immersion. And during the first year, they actually get Bible college. So we've been able to partner with Davis Bible College in New York, who has the same curriculum as Word of Life. And I don't know if you all can see this or not, but we thought it would be great to share with y'all the classes that they are able to take. So during Fall A, they take Life Ethics and Worldview, Systematic Theology 1, Pentateuch, and a student ministry that's throughout the whole year. And then Fall B, they take Latter Prophets, Acts and Romans, and student ministry. And then during Spring A, they take Hermeneutics, Former Prophets, Pauline Epistles, and student ministry. And then during Spring B, they take Life of Christ, Systematic Theology 2, and student ministry. And so they live in Tennessee at our global headquarters while taking these classes online. Not a bad place to live if you haven't been there before. And so over a 9-month period, they take these 10 classes, and they come out with 30 Bible college credits. And during that time, we also train them in the ministry, and they work for the ministry at different camp events, serving as cabin leaders, serving as worship. They help clean our cabins for us. So we just try to give them a full exposure to the broad spectrum of what CBM looks like during that first year. And then if the Lord is impressing upon their heart that they want to see what the next step toward full-time missionary life is, then they would go into the second program of immersion, the second year.
I thought this slide would really be impactful to show the church. If you look up in the upper corner, Keegan Hurt, he is one of our current Team 19 interns in the enrichment program, but he also began his relationship with the Lord in this church, in the Fellowship Hall building right next door. He was one of our Bible Club kids that came and heard the gospel, and the Lord drew him to himself, and he was now joined the internship, and his testimony is he wants to pour into kids that were just like him, that needed to hear the gospel, and so that he's very passionate about that. We also have a young man named Talbot. He is from Tennessee and really close to us in Knoxville originally, and Judah from Alabama, Alexis, who is also from Tennessee, and then Lexi, who is all the way from Pennsylvania.
And then our enrichment interns who started in January were 4 girls, Corinne and Clarissa from Florida, one who had worked at Camp Gilead, and then Ellie and Oleana from Illinois and Iowa.
Yeah, the battle over the thermostat in their apartment is ongoing. You got the Illinois and the Florida people.
And if you've heard of Gitchigumi Bible Camp, which is one of CBM's affiliates in the Upper Peninsula, Ellie and Oli were camp counselors there this past summer, which is where they heard about the CBM internship.
We have 3 immersion interns right now, and these are pretty special because 2 of these young men are from Lakeland, Florida originally. Robbie Hester, he grew up going to Camp Gilead. His dad served on the board with me. He developed a fascination with Fellowship Baptist Church. Anytime the doors are open, anytime he needs guidance and counsel, I think he still contacts Pastor Pyatt. But he loves Fellowship Baptist Church. He asked me specifically, would you please tell them I said hello? Would you please tell Pastor Pyatt I said hello as well? So he is an amazing young man, and God's calling him to either be he thinks, a church pastor or maybe a church planter. So he's using this second-year program to get his associate's degree in Bible studies, and just praying what God has next for him. Nathan Adams is from Lakeland, Florida as well, and he has had the opportunity now to serve at Camp Gilead a little bit, at New Life Camp in Raleigh, North Carolina, and he'll be heading to Camp Victory this summer to serve. Alan is one of our enrichment interns that graduated, and he's not sure what God has for him next, but he felt like God was calling him into the second-year program, and he is from Lumberton, North Carolina, and currently serving at Camp Gilead.
And he's interested in camp programming.
It was very hard, I'm sure y'all have heard me say in other presentations here, but it was very, very hard to leave Florida. We loved working at Camp Gilead. We loved being with our families here. but God transitioned us to a beautiful place. If you've never been, you have to come see us. We are in Townsend, Tennessee at the global headquarters, which is called Tuckaleechee Retreat Center, and it really is a beautiful, beautiful place. That is where we base our ministry and our work out of, even though I think, if I calculated this correctly, over the past 11 years, we have driven over 450,000 miles between all the different camps that we have.
And this is a drone shot of the property. Above the teal line, I guess, is the original 50 acres and cabins. And this is the beautiful Tuckaleechee Retreat Center. Like Lincoln said, come and stay with us. Anytime that we're not using it for church retreats I said that wrong. Anytime that we're not using it for CBM events, trainings, and things like that, and intern classes and all of those kinds of things, we open it up to church retreats and pastors to come and stay, families to come and stay, family reunions, and things like that. And all of the proceeds are able to go back into building the work of Children's Bible Ministries.
It's been really amazing to see how God has grown CBM, but also how he has grown the headquarters. We started with 50 acres and 8 cabins, and now we have 100 acres and 13 cabins up there. It is just a huge answer to prayer, and I thought we'd share a little bit about that. I don't know if you see the little green building, the Missionary Training Center has the green roof there. We had needed a place for us to do all of our missionary training and to host all of our events, and it was very, very hard to find a place. And so we prayed that God would give us the opportunity. We talked to a bunch of builders, and they kept telling us it's going to be very, very hard to build on top of a mountain where you are at, on the 50 acres that we had. And I met with our national cabinet once a month, which is made up of all of our area directors, and we kind of go through some things. And I found a good spot where I actually had cell phone service, and it was right there where that building sits right now. And I would sit there and I'd be like, oh, this is the perfect spot. It's a beautiful view. It was looking on this beautiful property that had sat empty for the 10 years that we had been up there. And I thought, wow, it would be just amazing if CBM could get it. We wrote several letters trying to obtain this property and did not hear anything. And I brought it up in a board meeting and asked our board if they'd pray about this, that I found a perfect spot for our chapel and a perfect piece of property, I think. Would they pray about the opportunity? And we had a new board member who had just joined CBM. Her name was Tawny Jones. And she said, I know the lady who cleans that every week. Even though it's since empty, I know the lady who cleans that every week. I'm going to give her your number. And sure enough, the next week she contacted me and said, you aren't going to believe this, but we have been wanting to get rid of this property and didn't know what to do. It's in the lady that had the property. It's in a trust called Children's Hospital. And it was a benefit place that they used to bring donors, and they would bring donors out and raise funds for the Children's Hospital. And it just sat empty since the founder of that organization passed away. And the daughter said, it's overwhelming to keep taking care of this property. We would love for another ministry to take it. So we brought it before our board. The very first time I brought it before our board said, I think that's going to be too much. Let's just think about it and pray about it. And they kind of walked away from the table. And so I had to call the lady back and say, I don't think God's opening this door right now. And a couple months later, she called me and said, I've decided I am going to go ahead and list this property. And I wanted to give CBM one more opportunity if they want this property. And so I went back to the board at the next board meeting and told them what she had said, and all the board voted that yes, they thought this was a great idea. So talking to the lady, she said it's 50 acres, it's 2 houses on this property, and CBM can get the property if you just pay the tax value on it. Well, taxes in Tennessee are quite high, but it was still an amazing deal. $850,000 for this property with the 50 acres and the 2 houses on it. And I was like, wow, I did not have $850,000 sitting in a bank account. So I said, let me talk to the board again, and I asked her, would she give me a month to talk to them and think about it and pray about it? And she said, yeah, I'll give you a month, no problem. And within 8 days, we had raised $850,000 through investors and donors. So we didn't need to take a loan out. So it was an amazing thing to call her back 8 days later and say, God has provided. We can actually, pay cash and close on this property. And that was in 2021, May of 2021. Absolutely huge, but to me, it was great to have the new property. It's beautiful. If you've never been, you really should come and see it. But the really amazing thing for us, it gave us buildable land, buildable property, and you can see the Missionary Training Center. How many of you heard of CWE, Christians for Worldwide Evangelism? Amazing, amazing organization. They have been so gracious and kind to They've been so gracious and kind to CBM. They built a cabin for us at Camp Grace, one of our camps in North Carolina. They built the cabin that burned down at Camp Gilead for us. And in 2022, they asked if I had any other projects I could send their way, that because of COVID, they were having trouble getting overseas and doing some of the work they had planned. And so I sent them a couple of projects some of the camps were interested in. I did not send them the chapel. I thought, well, that's kind of selfish if I do that when I know the other camps are looking to build and do these things. So I sent them a chapel that I wanted built at Camp Tapawinko, which is another camp in Watauga, Tennessee, about 2.5 hours from us. And they started that project, did an amazing job. It's been amazing to have that project. And then a few weeks later, Alan and Donna Green from Lakeland, Florida, they came up and stayed at Firefly, one of the first families to stay in the new lodge on the new property. And we got to go in and share with them about how we felt God was leading us to get this property so we could have a new missionary training center. And he said, well, why didn't you turn this into CWE? You know, this is just exactly what we do. We build training centers. We would love this opportunity. And I said, well, I didn't want to be greedy. You know, y'all just did this for Gilead. You did this for Grace, and you did it for Tapawingo. I didn't know, if that would be appropriate. And he said, you need to bring this up, like, tomorrow. Send in your drawings tomorrow. We want to do this. And so we did, and by fall of 2022, they had a building, a new chapel there built for us. And if you don't know anything about CWE, they are amazing. They do this building project in 4 weeks' time. From start to finish, they build the building and have it ready to go so you can start using it. And they provide 75% of the cost to build it. So just an amazing ministry. We're super, super thankful for them and for how God answered that prayer. We are paying back some of the investors, so we've raised $464,000 to date, and we're still paying $386,000 back to the investors. And we have a fundraiser on April 25th. The church will be praying for that. We're hoping to really close that gap during that fundraiser. So that is how God's been growing the global office, not just acreage and buildings, but staff. We have a lot of new staff, and it's been amazing to see that.
So it's been incredible to be a part of what the Lord's been doing in CBM and just what he'll do when you just are willing and obedient. And so when we first came, CBM had 10 local areas, and those are all under the United States. I would love to take 10 minutes and tell you about each one of these, but obviously we can't do that. So we just kind of broke it up in bite-sized chunks, but if you go to our website, childrensbibleministries.net, it does link out to all of these so you can learn about each one. But because of the growth that the Lord brought, we changed the terminology a little bit to make it easier to understand. So we have 13 areas, and 11 of them are in the U.S., 2 of them are overseas, and those are missions works that were founded by CBM. And then we have 5 projects, which are new ministry plants founded by CBM, and we have 5 of those in the United States. And then we have 5 affiliates, which are sister or partner ministries, and which you heard me refer to, Gitchigumi Bible Camp, and then Faith Extreme out of Winter Haven is also one of those. And then we have 2 overseas as well. So 23 total areas, affiliates, and projects. Oops.
So in addition to training missionaries and overseeing the global office, Jamie and I have the opportunity to lead a lot of overseas mission trips, which we're get very, very excited about. We've been on, I think, 13 over the past couple of years that we've either led or put together. And you can see some of the places we've gone: Moldova, Honduras, Nicaragua to serve alongside Bruce and Laura Edgar, Guatemala to serve alongside Little Lambs Orphanage. We were able to actually start an annual camp that we do in Honduras. We've been to the Ukraine right before the war broke out. We were there in the fall before the war came, and we're running children's ministries in the Ukraine. And we are going to take a minute just to show you the last mission trip we went on was to Japan, and we have a video to show you.
たがいるからそう何でもできる Jesus 息することさえもすべての歩みもそうあなたと一緒 Jesus 息することさえも打ち寄せるこの喜びどこにいても I see your face 愛に捉えられ Oh my God 素晴らしい
We were able to work alongside of ABWE missionaries who had a church plant in Japan, and they had not been able to have a kids ministry since 2020, so that was their first VBS or kids programming since then, so it was a very amazing time for us.
So there are highs and lows of every overseas mission trip. The high for me was the last slide that you saw where I was praying with the young lady, and it was, I think it was Starbucks in the mall, but we just happened to be sitting beside them, and we were speaking English, and they turned around and said, "You're speaking English," and because that's not super common, and so we struck up a conversation with them, and the girl was like, "Oh, I love your necklace, I love it so much," and we had both had on sort of that toggle type of necklace, and so we got this great idea, well, let's switch. So my necklace is now with her in Japan, and her necklace is with me, and so that made a great connection where she allowed me to pray with her and over some things that were coming up, and so I think of her and pray for her often. That's the special thing, is you can always see their faces in your mind. And then not featured in this video is probably the biggest obstacle God has ever overcome in my life on a mission trip. If you dare, Google huntsman spiders. They had a little infestation type of home in the residence where we stayed during the week. So if God can get me through that, he can get me through anything.
It is a privilege to lead these short-term trips, but God had impressed it upon Jamie and I's heart to spread CBM overseas, and so that's something we've been really, really passionate about. If you look at Greg and Brittany Burton, they were our directors at New Life Camp in Raleigh, North Carolina, and God called them to serve in London. So now they run our CBM of London office, and they're serving out of there. Greg is an incredible individual. He runs a sports ministry program in London. But the amazing thing is, because we call it a sports program, but underneath CBM, he's able to get into a lot of closed countries. He's held camp for us in the Ukraine, in the Czech Republic, and then a lot of other places that are undisclosed that he can get into that we normally wouldn't be allowed to. So it's amazing to see God grow his ministry. We also were able to partner with a local church in Raleigh, North Carolina, who helped us plant a church in Moldova. And that church decided they needed a camp, like the camp that we had in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so we were able to help them build that camp. They have a beautiful, fully functioning camp there. And God used one of the short-term mission trips to call this young lady, Christy Martinez, to serve there. And so she is serving there, teaching English in the local church, and then also working at a new church plant and working out of the camp that's there.
She's from Winter Haven.
Yeah, Winter Haven, Florida. God also used the short-term missions in an amazing way. Our very first trip we ever took was to Honduras, and it was to a place called the filling station, or actually it was to a property that was going to be the filling station. The filling station wasn't built yet. And that ministry came to CBM and said, hey, we would love an organization to take it over. We are going to need to leave the field. Would CBM be interested in taking over this ministry? And so we were able to take over the filling station in Honduras. We were able to raise up a local lady named Ondina, and she runs the filling station for us, where kids get fed physically, but they also get fed spiritually every week. And we also have a local church who comes and runs their youth programs out of the building. CWE, who we talked about a little bit earlier, they came and they built that chapel for us. It was an amazing time. We saw a young man come to know Christ during that build, which was amazing that they brought. And actually, he was from Lakeland, Florida as well. Brenda Johns came, and she was one of the cooks for CWE, and CWE asked if we would give a CBM presentation, and we got to share about the work God was doing, and afterwards she came up and said, hey, I just felt the Lord really impressing upon my heart to talk to you about Honduras. Would it be okay when you do your camp in Honduras this year if I went with you? And so we let her come with us. She did an amazing job serving, and God ended up calling her now full-time to serve in Honduras, and that's where she is not serving at the filling station, but she serves at a city nearby and brings kids to the camp, and it's just amazing to see how God is using her.
This is the CBM family at a global conference. We do this every year. And this year's global conference is our 90th anniversary, of course. So we're actually going to be at the Ark in the Creation Museum. So we're really excited about that. And Ken Ham, pending schedule, is going to present for an hour. So that is a great celebration for us to have everyone there. But 110 of these people in red shirts are stateside missionaries, and we just listed the states where they serve so that you could see Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Maryland, Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, and Virginia, and growing as the Lord leads.
And if you've ever heard any presentation about CBM, you've heard us talk about the ministry of the 3 C's, camps, classes, and correspondence. That is how these missionaries reach people with the gospel. It's through camps, classes, and correspondence. Camps y'all are probably pretty familiar with because of Camp Gilead being so close. But one of our biggest ministries is our school year-round ministry called Classes. And we are able to minister kids through after-school clubs like the one we used to have here at Fellowship Baptist on Thursday afternoons, or homeschool enrichment clubs like we have at Camp Gilead and New Life Camp, sports clubs that we have. Any way we can get in to reach the children, we try to do it. But our biggest class ministry is Release Time, and we thought we'd tell you a little bit about that because one of our goals for 2025 is to see Release Time in Florida. So we're working very, very hard to make that happen. Release Time is a legal way for us to teach kids in the public school the Bible during the school day. Parents can sign their kids up for Bible classes, and they can choose one of their elective times, like a sports time or an art time or maybe a study hall, and we take them off-site. It doesn't cost any money to the kids or the parents. We take them off-site, and we have an hour of instruction time with them. And generally for CBM ministries, we do that once a month.
The local church.
And we partner with the local church to do this, to make this happen. And we call that is one of our biggest C's. And I will tell you, I think the last time that we presented here, which I know it's been a while, one of our prayer requests was that God would allow us to do the ministry of Release Time in the counties that we're at in Tennessee. We have 6,000 or 7,000 kids each month enrolled in Release Time in Tennessee, but none of them in Knox County or Blount County around us. It is a very, very hard and kind of a liberal area in Knoxville to get into, and we were told when we arrived at Townsend that you will never have Release Time in there, so don't worry about that. Spend all your energy and effort in getting Release Time in other places. Don't worry about it in Knoxville or Knox County. And so we've been praying. God gave us the opportunity in 2019 to present to the Knox School Board, Jamie and myself, and we brought 2 other area directors and 1 Release Time teacher, and we presented the ministry of CBM and how we thought it would benefit the people in their community since it was happening to all these other young people. And it was the most intense presentation I think I've ever done in my entire life. It's great because y'all are family and friends looking at y'all here. This was not a group of family or friends. In fact, if you probably caught some of it maybe on the national news, but the Satanic Church had a huge showing. And they came to those meetings, and every time anyone from CBM or Release Time would talk, they would boo, hiss, or snap. So it was a very odd meeting, an odd time, and you just felt the great spiritual warfare that was taking place. In an odd twist, they were saying, we want Release Time to happen because if you let children's Bible ministries do it, then you have to let us do it. But the reality was every time that a school board member voted not to let us do it, they would cheer. So you could definitely see their clear ambitions, their clear motivations for doing it. So we left pretty discouraged. We lost the vote that night. And by 1 vote, we lost. And we thought, oh, that's kind of discouraging. We had put a lot of effort and time and prayer into this. But, we serve a great and mighty God. And he had a bigger and better, stronger plan for us. In 2020, Governor Bill Lee of Tennessee heard about Release Time, heard about children's Bible ministries, and he decided to pass a law that would mandate any parent that asked for Release Time, the school and school board would have to grant that parent the right to allow that parent to sign their children up for Release Time. So not only is it sanctioned by the Supreme Court, but now we had a local law that was written by Governor Bill Lee for CBM to hold release time for these kids. So it's amazing. We now have release time in Knox County, and it is going extremely, extremely well. In fact, I think Governor Bill Lee's office sent the pen that he used to sign the bill, and we have that at Camp Tapawingo, and one of the classrooms of one of our larger one of our Bible teachers that has the larger classroom, he has that there. So that's very, very exciting for us and a huge answer to prayer. Our other ministry that we have, the third C, is correspondence, and you may have heard at the beginning, I said I started when I was 7. That was my first introduction into CBM, was doing Bible correspondence lessons. One of the missionaries mailed them to my house when she found out I was a believer, and I started doing Bible lessons at the age of 7, and we still do those Bible lessons today.
By the way, there are 5 schools partnering with 5 churches in Knox County now doing Bible release time. Praise the Lord. So one of the things that we wanted to share with you all, something that I'm incredibly passionate about because I was the registrar at Camp Gilead and got to talk to all the moms, dads, aunts, uncles, grandparents on the phone about how their children couldn't afford to come to summer camp but really wanted to. And always the privilege that I got to have is to be able to say that your child can come. Just don't worry about it. Your child can come to camp because we always knew that God was going to provide the funds for the children to come to camp. No child has ever been turned away from camp for finances. So this is a really special number to me. The background slide, by the way, is the chapel at Camp Tapawingo that CWE built. Looks a lot like the inside of our chapel up at global headquarters. But in the 11 years since we have been at the global headquarters, CBM-wide, $2,646,080 has been awarded to children for summer camp scholarships. Also, part of that is the scholarship that's given when they do the Bible lessons. So children can, at least at Camp Gilead and Camp Tapawingo, they can go to their first year of summer camp for free when they do the Bible lessons, which is huge. And so the funds raised go toward that as well.
It's amazing, and probably our biggest praise, and the one we want to share with the church because fellowship, you get to be a part of this. But we saw 52,166 professions of faith that profess to come to know Christ over the past 11 years. That's amazing. It's huge. Be praying for us and with us as we seek to get those young people that are making these decisions and coming to know Christ, whether it's called into missions full-time or being called into church planning or however God, the Lord is leading them. We want to get them plugged into a strong local church so they can be discipled and grow in their faith. About 52,166 professions of faith that we know of or that we've heard of since 2013 till 2023. And the way we do our stats and kind of the way we track things is we do each school year. So 2013, 2014 is one school year for us. August to August is how we keep track of those numbers. And when I look at numbers like that, I'm just, God always impresses on me the book of Nehemiah, which is a great leadership book. It's a great book I know all the directors study all the time, learning leadership skills. And it's also a great book of God's sovereignty, the way God answers prayer. But there's a verse that really sticks out to me, Nehemiah 4:6, and there's just a little phrase in it that I find just so impactful. And it is Nehemiah 4:6. So we built the wall, and the entire wall was joined together up to half its height, for the people had a mind to work. And that's what is so exciting about CBM is with our volunteers and with all the people that, the churches and people that support the work, it is because they have a mind to work. They have a mind to see the work done, and they have a mind to work. And we see God accomplish great things through this and because of this. So we are very, very blessed in that. We thought we'd give you an opportunity to see, since we're coming near to the end here, see a little bit of where we live and what we do at Children's Bible Ministries. When we first moved to Tennessee, we lived in a, I think, 400 square foot apartment.
Oh, 250 probably.
Yeah, 250. Yeah, it did not fit Jamie's
Forgot
shoes
about that.
in that apartment, so.
Okay.
But quickly, when God impressed on us to start the internship, we knew we needed intern housing, so we opened up our house, moved interns in there, and God opened the door so we could move on the property of a local church, and we lived there for almost
8 years.
8 years. Yeah, it was an amazing opportunity. We got to work with the youth there, which we really enjoyed, and we lived in their church parsonage, which was amazing. And they decided as their church was growing and the ministry was growing there, they needed that house to turn into offices. So once again, we started looking for a place to stay in Tennessee, and God opened the door where we were able to get that 50 acres. And on that 50 acres was a little cottage in the corner called Grace Cottage, and we were able to move into that property and Had a great time. We love Grace Cottage. It's beautiful. But we decided we needed new intern coordinators to work alongside of us, and they had a little one coming, and so they needed a house with another bedroom. And so we thought, okay, we need to give this house up to them. So we moved out in faith that God was going to provide new housing for us, and he did it in an amazing way. There's a farmhouse down the road from the headquarters there, and this older gentleman, his name is Mr. Hobbs. We think the world of Mr. Hobbs. He really has fallen in love with the ministry and the work of CBM, and he said, I have an old farmhouse that is on 30 acres that I was going to tear down. He said, if you and your volunteers want to come and rehab this, I will pay for all the materials if you do the labor. And then y'all can live there for almost 3 years rent-free, and then you can pay a little bit of rent after that. And he said, what do you think about that? I was like, that sounds like an answer to prayer. And so we have been really working on that crazy since probably last May, June. Yeah, really working on that. And I think we have a couple pictures we can show you. This was the kitchen before and then during the demo. And then this is the kitchen afterwards. And then this was the bedroom, bathroom. We didn't actually have a guest bathroom, but we added one in. You can kind of see that. And then I think the next one is the living room. It was, if you know anything about farmhouses back in the day, they were built, they had room after room after room, no hallways, no closets, no bathrooms. In fact, I had a giant outhouse behind the house, which we did get rid of. But you can see the next, that's the living room after. The dining room before, dining room after. So it's just been kind of a God thing. We've had volunteers from all over. Of course, Jamie's favorite part, the reading and coffee nook. She loves her coffee. It's amazing to see the transformation. We had volunteers come. They brought their big, giant fifth wheel, and they parked it on the property, and they've been living there since June, and they have been helping us remodel this property, and it's just been amazing to see God's provision and his hands on that. So we actually, if you want to come to Tennessee and you can't get into the cabins, if they're booked, we have a guest room now. You've heard it here. There is the guest room and property here. You can come stay with us. So come and see Tennessee. It's beautiful. We absolutely love it. I wanted to leave you with a verse. And of course, we all know this verse well, but it's one every time I do a presentation and I think about, it's Matthew 9, 37 and 38. And then he said to the disciples, the harvest is truly plentiful, but the laborers are few. Therefore pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. CBM's biggest need is definitely new missionaries, new people coming on and finding ways to serve. So if you know people that are interested, send them our way. If you know young people that are interested, we'll tell them about the internship. But we love to share about the work that God does through the ministry of CBM, and we definitely are excited to see how God is bringing the harvest. Right.
So you can take a picture of this, I suppose. I don't even know if you can see it. It looks far away, but the QR code is our giving link, and then both of our emails are on there, the CBM website, and then our phone numbers. And besides new missionaries, our other biggest prayer requests are, for us personally, wisdom and decision-making. We have to make a lot of decisions every single moment of every day, and we need and rely and depend on the Lord's wisdom for those decisions and beg for it. And then also to finish the farmhouse. There is still work happening on it. We've been in it for a month, which is awesome. We love it, but ready for the tools to move out. And then our other prayer request is maybe even something that y'all can help with. Most of our CBM summer camps have a great need for summer camp counselors or cabin leaders. Most all of them struggle to get summer camp counselors. And the way that we're trying to sort of change the vernacular in that it is a summer mission trip. So it's a summer where you spend 6, 7, 8 weeks, depending which camp, literally being a missionary to children all summer long. And so they do get paid a little bit, but they are also able to raise a little bit of support if they want to. But the eternal rewards are out of this world. It's absolutely the best summer job that you can have. So if you know young people or you are young people who are praying about how to serve the Lord this summer, I know 5 to 7 camps off the top of my head that I can email you their application or send you to their application. So pray for us in that, because I can't remember if it was last summer or the summer before, but a couple of our camps actually weren't able to open all of their cabins because they didn't have counselors for their cabins. And so that was heartbreaking because there are kids that want to come but not counselors to be in there with them. So please pray about that.
All right, and I'm going to close our time in prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for this opportunity just to give our sending church an update, to let them know what you're doing through the CBM missionaries, through the CBM family. Lord, what a refreshing time it is to just see the faces of people who've given us such wise and godly counsel, who supported the work. Lord, it's just an honor and a blessing to be here. Lord, I pray that you'll be with Fellowship as they continue to be such a strong light here in this community. And I pray that you'll just strengthen them and continue to grow them closer to you as they grow closer with each other. Lord, thank you for the safety provided in all these travels and all these events. And I pray that you'll continue. Pray for the summer. That'll be a great time, a great harvest, Lord, where you are lifted up and kids can see you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.